Hey everybody, my name is Paul,
And I'm Vanda.
and this is Business as Usual. Turns out Vanda just returned from Puerto Rico, and she's going to tell us
Mm,
all about the ups and downs, including the plane ride. So,
No downs.
no,
I'm actually not back yet.
oh, you're not
I'm
back yet?
I'm
Okay.
I'm still nope, I'm still here. I'm in the airport though. So it's been lovely. I gotta tell you, Paul, I think we're working too hard. I think we need to consider working from the beach.
Oh,
How about that?
the laptop
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Laptop lifestyle or phone, depending on what you do.
Right.
Um, it's so interesting. So one of my fun experiences was that there there was a young lady named Sandra,
Mhm.
and she had her little pooch dog, and she was sitting under one of the trees on the beach. And this particular tree is where Rinaldo stacks all of the beach chairs and the umbrellas, right? So
Mm.
for $5, you get a chair, $15, you get an umbrella. So we were, of course, friendly with Ronaldo every day. He had this power tool drill that he
Mhm.
uses with like an amazing like corkscrew that he drills into the sand with to put
Wow.
the umbrella down in. I know, and so that became my like I'm a fanatic for power tool. So me and Ronaldo became really good friends, and he let me use his power tool. But anyway, my point is that I met a woman named Sandra, and I'm being nosy, waiting for my turn to get my chair.
Mhm.
And she is talking about, I do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Mhm.
And of course, I butt in and I'm like, sounds like time freedom management to me.
Yeah.
And she went, exactly. She says, if I want to get in my car and drive around Puerto Rico and just go get a coconut from the other side, then I do it. If
Right.
I want to just, go to the beach with my dog, then I do it. And here's where the conversation landed. When it comes to working for yourself, she used a comparison of being corporate. She'd been working for herself now for about 6 years.
Mhm.
And the difference between working for self and working for someone else.
Mhm.
And she was able to understand that when you work for someone else, not only do you have travel time to get to work, right? So
Mhm.
you're traveling to get to work. And then once you get to work, you have to, get your coffee or check mail or say hello to folks. Like the distractions are so abundant. How much work are we really getting done in our 7 or 8 or 9 hour shift at work? So that's where our conversation went. And I was like, how many people are talking about this on the beach that would land in my presence? Okay. It's like, this is just my kind of conversation. And so it was really cool. Like, yeah, when you work for yourself, like the focus and the concentration, I feel like I get more work done. And so, yes, I probably get uh, the amount of work done in 4 hours that most folks do working 8 hours in an office.
Mhm.
Um, because those distractions are real. And so when I look at it that way, and that became our discussion, is that while working 4 hours a day, that certainly leaves a lot of time for freedom, hence time freedom,
Absolutely.
right? Working for yourself. So how many hours a day do you think you need to work to really get a concentrated, productive outcome?
Well, have you ever heard of the book 4 Hour Work Week? Think,
No.
yeah, it's I totally forget the name of the author. It's like a really famous book, but he talks about how you basically put in the work ahead of time and you automate things until you don't only have to work 4 hours a week. Um,
Week.
yeah,
Whoa.
yes.
Okay.
So, but for me, I'm still in that grind process. I'm still in that building process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a difference between owning a business and being a freelancer, right? Um, I'm a freelancer. I'm not. A business is when you have. I mean, and this can vary depending on who you ask, but a business is when you have employees and you have people doing the things for you that you don't need to do anymore. Like when I
Correct.
eventually hire staff someday, I'll have people designing websites and doing social media, and I will be overseeing it. I will own a business. Right now, I'm in the business, so I am the business. You know what
You
I
are
mean?
the business, right?
Right.
Well, now you're talking about the 4 quadrants of business.
Ooh.
Working for someone else
Mm-hmm.
versus being self-employed
Mm-hmm.
versus being a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
which is the other side of the quadrant, and then after that is being an investor, right?
Right.
Where your money just makes money, and we're really not worried about how many hours a week or a day.
Right.
I mean, we're still working, but we're not worried.
Yeah. So
about it.
I wonder where your new friend was in that quadrant.
She was definitely a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that qualifies anything more than two employees, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, anything more in addition to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which is someplace I'm aspiring to be. I feel like I could use an assistant these days.
Right.
I really suck at follow up. And so I've been beating myself up about that for years. And now I'm like, well, you know what, Vanda? Maybe you need an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Virtual assistants are very popular these days. I don't know if you've heard about that, but for a very good rate, you can get someone to help you make phone calls and book your calendar and call folks to follow up and make sure that you're still connected, because I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
So that's an idea. But yes, the 4 quadrants of business, Robert Kiyosaki, one of my
Yeah.
favorites. And then I was leaving out one day and got into an elevator, and all I said, honestly, Paul, was, "How are you today?"
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman started talking about how he was from Puerto Rico, but he doesn't live there, and he was just visiting. And I did an Airbnb in a condo,
Mm.
which is a whole nother story of business that has got me very engaged. But he started going on and on about how he was retired, but he had done the right thing and put his life in order and planned accordingly, and he was debt free. And I did this trip with one of my partners in finance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
her and I have been working together for about 15 years, and we looked at each other going, this can't be happening. I mean, who gets on the elevator and starts talking about being debt free, retirement, putting a plan in order? Those are all of my favorite topics as a financial planner. So it was quite an interesting, let's just say I had a lot of confirmation that I am in the right place, on track. How about that?
That's very good.
And then there was the ocean. So the ocean was beautiful. But the young lady that helped me here at the airport raised an interesting point that, oh, they're not calling me. I have no idea what they're saying, but I felt like I should be polite and just listen, right? It might be important.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody speaks English, number one. The weather was beautiful. I went to visit a friend on the other side of the island who showed us a more rustic, non-city life that was peaceful and really wonderful. And I grew up with her from our 20s till now. She's recently retired. So she was a lieutenant paramedic for most of her life. And here she is now, doing, following in her ancestors' footsteps. So it definitely is a very interesting life.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of beach bums.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Is it low tech on that side of the island, or are people pretty much modern?
Actually, they're pretty modern. I was quite impressed. From everything from, we had a little trouble with our cable, but no, everything is Q codes for all the menus. Technology is everywhere. Didn't miss a beat. So whatever you thought it was, it really is not. I gotta say, there's really no difference between. I was in San Juan though, which is not quite the country. It's really city. It's the capital.
Oh, okay.
But try being in a city that has a darn beach. Now, I'm from New York, and that's what we're missing. We need a beach.
Yeah.
And no winter. How about that? No winter, and we need a beach. I will say that financially, on a financial tip though, business is booming. They have definitely mastered the art of tourism, of course, and that's not a given for many places that have a high tourist, makeup.
Oh, sure.
There, especially in the Caribbean, sometimes things move a little slow. That was not the case here. I did not have that experience here. So it's really wonderful. I would come back. The idea of owning and doing business, something I'm very interested in. So that was a fun thought. But then we have the idea that, well, in doing that, that's really great. But doesn't that speak to gentrification?
A little bit, I would say.
Little bit, right?
You definitely have your big money folks coming through town and be like, this is a beautiful island. I'm going to buy up a whole bunch of properties and make it a beachfront resort. And, now people with money will come through. And what about the locals who've been there for centuries? All of a sudden they're getting pushed out. It's
exactly.
Like I like the views, so I'm going to push out the poor people, and so that's why it's important to have time freedom and be able to go to those places just to visit. You don't have to live there and spend that much money to live there. You know what I mean?
Support their culture, their lifestyle, their living.
The port culture.
And support. Right. Tourism does that. It does support. Well, I will say this about that. Capitalism is definitely on the rise. I cannot tell you the fast food chains that I saw popping up, and I had comments from the locals about it.
Really?
There's fried chicken chains that are everywhere that we don't see as plentiful in the States.
You're kidding.
No,
like your
really.
Popeyes, your KFC, your
churches in particular.
Really?
What's a churches? Yes, they are everywhere. McDonald's, Burger King. It was really kind of startling. Not a lot of not more fast food than restaurants that are doing home cooking. So yeah, they're everywhere. It's very saturated, and I do understand that there's definitely a concern with the locals of this gentrification that is happening. And along with that, there were conversations that I was able to have with those coming in. It's great to bring, the fiscal, facelift, but the respect of the culture is being lost. The respect for the community of the island is being lost. Down to a conversation that I had with a friend about, their local plant life or something here. A beautiful kind of looks like a willow growing kind of plant with feathery, really beautiful. And somebody buying property and wanting to clear the whole line that lines it's just, that people not understanding, but that is symbolic of the countryside. And and people get upset when you come in and you want to change what has been there forever culture. And I understand that.
But don't worry, that willow will end up in some Hilton resort courtyard. It's going to be
exactly
just a lonely old willow just sitting there all sad and lonely.
GMO. So I guess today's tip is, travel and support the culture, support the community. I'm not one that really likes to do the tourist thing. I prefer to go into the villages and where local folks are and support there and really learn about the culture and hang with the locals. That's me. Bars are open like almost all night here. They definitely are interested in their cervezas
Mm.
before, during, and after work. But I think the sun also really helps. Anyway, I had a lovely time. I must say, there's business here. There's definitely business here. I just think it's important that all of us interested in perhaps doing business in other places other than our homeland really consider the culture and find ways to support the environment of the culture
Well,
in
sure.
which we choose to do business.
Yeah.
And that's my tip of the day.
All right. Well, having that time freedom and productivity trio, I think, is the theme here. So,
Mm,
if you can get yourself around, clear up your schedule um, as an independent entrepreneur, um,
how
allow
about that?
yourself to work anywhere as long as you have an internet connection and you can communicate with people. You don't necessarily have to
Absolutely.
be a marketer like I am or a finance person like Vanda, but that internet connection saves you so much time and you can literally work on the beach. Um,
Literally.
yeah, literally. So,
Literally. As I did, I actually I did 5 pieces of business,
excellent.
a
That's
book of
awesome.
business of 5 policies while I was here. How about that?
That's
But I,
amazing.
but I know. And they were issued yesterday, so I'm very excited about that. But no, you guys, we get to decide. So, what's your plan? As I always say, what is your plan? Start now, because a plan means having vision.
Hmm.
It's something in the distance. You love my beach hair?
I
How
do.
about this? It
It's
really worked.
fantastic.
It loved the ocean and the sand. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. This has been Business as Usual with Vanda.
And I'm Paul. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll catch you next week.